In the bustling heart of a forgotten neighborhood where cracked sidewalks whispered tales of hardship, a young girl named Lila paused mid-step, her worn-out sneakers kicking up dust from the uneven pavement. She was only 17, but life had already etched lines of worry across her forehead, lines that spoke of endless nights helping her ailing mother, scraping together pennies from odd jobs, and dreaming of a world beyond the crumbling apartment block that trapped her like a cage. That fateful afternoon, as the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of weary orange, Lila spotted him, an elderly man, hunched under the weight of 2 overflowing grocery bags, his frail frame trembling with each labored step. His coat was threadbare, his eyes clouded with the kind of loneliness that no one should endure. Without a second thought, Lila rushed forward, her own burdens forgotten in that moment of pure, unfiltered compassion. "Let me help you, sir," she said softly, taking one bag from his shaking hands. Little did she know, this simple act would unravel a chain of events that would forever alter her destiny, and yours, if you let this story touch your heart. Lila's life had never been easy. Born into poverty in a small town overshadowed by the gleaming city skyline just miles away, she had lost her father to a factory accident when she was barely old enough to remember his face. Her mother, Maria, worked as a seamstress until arthritis twisted her fingers into useless knots, leaving Lila as the family's sole provider. Morning started before dawn with Lila delivering newspapers on a rusty bicycle, her breath fogging in the cold air as she pedaled through silent streets. Afternoons were spent at the local market, haggling for discounted produce or mending clothes for neighbors who could spare a few coins. Evenings blurred into exhaustion, helping Maria with meals and medications, all while stifling her own dreams of education and escape. "One day, Mama," Lila would whisper as she tucked her mother in, "things will get better." But doubt gnawed at her like hunger, especially on days when the landlord banged on their door demanding rent they couldn't afford. The elderly man, Mr. Harlan as he introduced himself with a gravelly voice, lived alone in a modest house at the end of the block, a place Lila had passed 100 times but never noticed. As they walked together, his steps growing steadier with her support, he shared fragments of his life. "I was a soldier once," he murmured, his eyes distant as if reliving battles long past. "Fought in wars that stole my youth, left me with medals and memories no one wants to hear." Lila listened intently, her heart aching for this stranger who carried not just bags, but the invisible weight of isolation. Widowed for decades, his children scattered across the country, too busy with their own lives to visit. "People forget the old folks," he said with a sad chuckle. "But you, young lady, you remind me there's still kindness in this world." They reached his doorstep, and as Lila set the bags down, he pressed a crumpled dollar bill into her hand. "For your trouble," he insisted. She tried to refuse, but his grip was surprisingly firm. "Take it. And remember, good deeds come back around." That night, as Lila lay on her thin mattress listening to the rain patter against the window, she felt a rare spark of warmth amid the chill of her reality. The dollar bought a loaf of bread for dinner, a small victory in her endless battle against scarcity. But sleep came fitfully, haunted by visions of Mr. Harlan's solitary figure. She wondered about his stories, the wars, the losses, and how easily society discarded those who had given so much. Morning dawned gray and unforgiving, with Maria's cough echoing through their tiny apartment. Lila rose early, as always, to boil water for tea and prepare for another grueling day. The knock on the door came just after breakfast, sharp and authoritative, jolting her from her routine. Peering through the peephole, she saw a man in crisp military uniform, stars gleaming on his shoulders like distant constellations. Her heart raced. Had she done something wrong? Was this about the landlord's threats? With trembling hands, she opened the door. "Miss Lila Ramirez?" the man asked, his voice steady and commanding. He was General Elias Thorne, a name that carried weight in military circles, though Lila had no idea who he was. Behind him stood 2 aides, their expressions a mix of formality and curiosity. "I'm here on behalf of Mr. Harlan Whitaker. He spoke of you last night." Lila's mind spun. Mr. Harlan? The elderly man from yesterday? Before she could respond, the general continued, his tone softening. Mr. Whitaker is no ordinary veteran. He was my commanding officer during the Gulf War, a hero who saved my life and countless others. He's been reclusive since retirement, battling health issues alone. But your kindness yesterday, it touched him deeply. He called me late last night, insisting I come see you personally. As the general stepped inside at Lila's hesitant invitation, Maria watched from her bed with wide eyes, clutching her blanket like a shield. General Thorne explained that Mr. Harlan had been a decorated general himself, retiring after a career of valor but choosing solitude over the spotlight. His family, estranged due to old wounds from his absences during deployments, had left him isolated. But Lila's simple act, helping with those bags, had reminded him of the daughter he once lost to illness, a pain he rarely shared. He said you didn't hesitate, didn't ask for anything, the general said, his voice cracking slightly. In a world full of takers, you're a giver. And he wants to give back. From his briefcase, he pulled out documents, a scholarship fund in Lila's name, enough to cover college tuition and living expenses. Mr. Harlan set this up years ago for someone deserving, but never found the right person until now. It's yours, if you'll accept it. Tears welled in Lila's eyes as the weight of it all crashed over her. Challenges flooded her thoughts, the years of sacrifice, the fear of never breaking free from poverty's grip, the quiet despair of watching her mother's health decline without proper care. How many times had she helped others, only to be met with indifference? Strangers on the street, classmates who mocked her ragged clothes, even neighbors who took her mending services for granted. But this was resolution in its purest form. The general didn't stop there. He arranged for medical specialists to visit Maria, covering costs through a veterans charity Mr. Harlan supported. Kindness begets kindness, he said, echoing Mr. Harlan's words. Lila visited the elderly man that afternoon, finding him in his cozy living room surrounded by faded photos of his military days. They talked for hours, bridging generations with shared stories of loss and resilience. Mr. Harlan became a grandfather figure, offering wisdom and support, while Lila's presence chased away his loneliness. Months passed, and Lila's life transformed. Enrolled in community college, she pursued nursing, inspired by her mother's struggles and Mr. Harlan's tales of battlefield medics. Challenges persisted, balancing studies with care for Maria, navigating the unfamiliar world of higher education where she felt like an outsider. Doubts crept in during late-night study sessions. Was she worthy? Could she really escape the cycle? But resolutions came through perseverance and unexpected allies. Classmates, moved by her story, which spread quietly through the school, formed study groups to help her. Mr. Harlan's weekly calls provided encouragement, reminding her of her strength. And when Maria's health improved with better treatment, it fueled Lila's determination. One pivotal challenge arose when the scholarship faced bureaucratic hurdles, a paperwork mix-up threatening to delay funds. Lila, drawing on her inner resolve, advocated fiercely, enlisting General Thorne's influence to resolve it swiftly. It taught her that kindness wasn't just giving, it was fighting for what's right. As the seasons changed, so did the bonds. Mr. Harlan's health waned, but not before he reunited with his estranged son, prompted by Lila's gentle urging during their visits. Life's too short for grudges, she told him, her voice steady despite the emotion. The reconciliation brought tears to all, a family mended through the ripple of one good deed. Lila graduated with honors, securing a job at a local hospital where she could help others as she had been helped. Maria, now stronger, beamed with pride at the ceremony, whispering, "You did it, Mija." Mr. Harlan passed peacefully that winter, his final words to Lila, "You saved me more than I saved you." His will included a modest inheritance for her, but more importantly, it established a foundation in his name to aid underprivileged youth, Lila as its first ambassador. Years later, Lila stood before a crowd at a charity event, sharing her story. "I was just a poor girl carrying bags," she said, her voice resonant with the depth of her journey. "But that act opened doors I never imagined. Kindness isn't weakness, it's the strongest force we have. It heals wounds, bridges divides, and changes lives, even when the world seems stacked against you." The audience erupted in applause, many wiping away tears, inspired to perform their own acts of compassion. Lila's life became a testament, from poverty to purpose, loneliness to legacy. Challenges had forged her, resolutions had elevated her, and emotional ties had sustained her. And now, dear viewer, as this tale comes to a close, remember Lila's hook, that moment of unhesitating help that sparked it all. If her story moved you, if it stirred something deep within, hit that like button to spread the inspiration. Subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming narratives that remind us of humanity's best. Who knows? Your next act of kindness might just change everything. Thank you for watching. Let's make the world a little kinder, one story at a time.